So tonight we are getting into Tommy's early years, becoming a star, how he did not get killed, how he's here today, and how this is all starting a whole new career for him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome songwriter, producer, recording artist, and author, Tommy James.
What a nice introduction. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much.
Join me, join me.
Thank you.
How the hell did a kid from Niles, Michigan, originally from Dayton, get involved with the mob? What happened?
Well, it wasn't easy. We went to Laurie, remember Laurie Records,
yep.
and Kama Sutra Records, Artie Rip at Kama Sutra.
What was it like walking into Kama Sutra Records? I mean, the other guys were executives in suits. Kama Sutra had a different
The first thing
scene.
that hit me was the smell of marijuana as I got off the elevator. I said, boy, this is the company I want to be with. And so we finally got a yes just from everybody, and I was so thrilled because it just was all I'd ever wanted to be my whole life was one of those rock and roll guys, you know. It's all I ever wanted to do. And so this was answered prayer in every way. And so finally, I went to bed that night feeling so great. The last place they took the record to was Roulette Records. That was the last. I didn't even go myself. The two guys who were with me went. And but we figured we were going to be with, you know, CBS or RCA,
sure,
one of the corporate labels. So I went to bed feeling great that night. We stayed at the City Squire at 51st and Broadway. I'll never forget it. And the next morning, about 9 o'clock, the phone started ringing, and it was all the other record companies who had said yes the day before, and all of a sudden they say, listen, Tom, we got a pass. And I said, what do you mean you got a pass? I thought we had a deal. And finally, Jerry Wexler at Atlantic leveled with us and told us that Morris Levy from Roulette Records had called all of the other labels and said, this is my record, back off. And they did, and he scared everybody, and it was an offer they couldn't refuse, and literally, and that's how we ended. That's Morris.
Oh boy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and that's literally how we ended up on Roulette.
So when you were with your group, these guys took a meeting with Morris, and they felt he was okay.
Well, you know.
Sorta.
Yeah, well, you know, they said, yeah, Morris wants the same thing we want. This was the guys who were selling our master. And they just wanted to get signed somewhere. So they went to see Morris, and it had a little arm twisting, and they then twisted my arm, and we ended up on Roulette. But the thing that's interesting, and this is the reason for the provocative title of the book, Me, the Mob, and the Music. The reason was, in addition to being a functioning record label, we learned incrementally what Roulette was. It was a front for the Genovese crime family in New York. And, I mean, we're running into people that we saw on TV. I mean, really notorious mobsters. I mean, mobsters.
Serious.
And,
yeah.
You know, this is us signing, by the way. That's Morris Levy and Lenny Stogel, my manager.
Mm-hmm. But at this point, you were still sort of, this is all good, this is cool.
Oh, yeah, I had a hayseed right in my mouth.
Right.
Can't you see it right there? Yeah.
So everything was so far so good. When did you start to begin to think this may be a problem?
Well, the first thing that happens, we'd meet people in Morris's office, and a week later we'd see him taken out of a warehouse in New Jersey in handcuffs. That was sort of a dead giveaway. Okay. And but it's true, and we'd say, isn't that the guy we just met in Morris's office? And then it would happen again, and you know, we'd start recognizing people from news footage on television, you know, and quite literally, the names you'll all know. And so the bottom line was that Roulette was being used as everything from a social club to illegal bank accounts, strange boxes showing up, and then disappearing, and I mean it. It was once we realized what we were involved with, it was a very serious situation, and of course we couldn't talk about it. And of course that's the whole essence of the book. About 2/3 of the book, Me, the Mob, and the Music. It's an autobiography. But it's also about this crazy, tumultuous, and very disturbing relationship we had with Roulette, because not only couldn't we talk about it, but they let us know very quickly that if we raised too much hell about not getting the royalties that we weren't getting, that we could very easily end up like Jimmy Rogers, who was a 50s act on Roulette, who was left for dead on an LA freeway in the early 60s, or in the middle 60s, because he went after his royalties and wouldn't stop.
So you're realizing slowly that this is a very, very dangerous situation.
It's a serious situation.
But at the same time, you had some kind of feelings for Morris, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I certainly. I mean, you know, the bottom line was, and every time I go to say something really nasty about Roulette and Morris Levy, I stop myself, because the truth is, if it hadn't have been for Morris Levy, there wouldn't have been a Tommy James. That is the truth. He did put his money where his mouth is. It was mine, but he put it there. and he really bet the farm on us. And you know the funny part, this is really odd but true. If we had gone with one of the corporate labels that we should have gone with, we would have been handed, especially with a record like Hanky Panky, we would have been handed to an in-house producer. We would have been lost in the numbers, and that's probably the last time anybody would have heard from us.